Now, from the station you count on. In-depth investigative coverage of today's biggest stories. This is KARK 4 News at 10 in high definition.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Bob Clausen.
I'm Jessica Dean. We're going to begin tonight with some developing news out of Grant County. Deputies there say the girl that you're about to see, Adriana Duhan, is missing. She's 5 years old from the town of Poen. Tonight, deputies have little information to go on, but they say she's been missing since 9 this morning and was last seen with a man by the name of Byron Cornelius.
Based on information given to authorities, the two could be in the Baseline Road or Roosevelt Road areas, that, of course, in Little Rock. We'll continue to follow developments in this case and bring you the very latest. In the meantime, if you know anything about this 5-year-old girl, Adriana, you're being asked to call Grant County deputies at the number you see here, 870-942-2101, or call your local police department as soon as you can. Again, we'll keep you updated on this. And of course, you can go to ArkansasMatters.com for the very latest as well. Now, to Jefferson County, as the search there for a serial arsonist suspected of setting fire to a dozen homes in Pine Bluff continues tonight. While there is no suspect, the number of fires dropped off significantly.
KARK4's Brittany Johnson joining us now with an in-depth look at the impact of these fires. Brittany, what are they seeing there?
Well, authorities have tried everything they can in this case. They have offered a $2,500 reward. The business community has chipped in, even community members. Everyone's banded together, but still no suspect in this case. However, authorities are now saying their situation there is still improving.
I love it. It's so relaxing.
It's a lovely day for Bonnet Morgan to work on her latest home improvement project.
We decided to beautify our yard a little bit. It's time for a change. You know, everybody needs change in their lives, so.
She and her family have lived here for over 20 years. In the past few, they've carried the burden of having abandoned homes right next door.
It was a nuisance because people were breaking into them, knocking glass out of them.
They left her neighborhood open, more susceptible to arsonists targeting vacant, seemingly forgotten lots. Two just right across the street.
One night we came home from out of town and that first house that was there was burning.
In 2010, Lieutenant Harold Clark showed us just how hard the city had been hit.
Anytime there's an arson fire, it damages the neighborhood. It puts our firefighters at risk.
That year, investigators say arsonists set 63 vacant homes on fire. The next year, 2011, 38 fires.
Arson fire has been down here lately, and we're very, very proud of that.
Lieutenant Clark says they've noticed a 40% decrease, but can't explain why they've made no arrests. He credits community involvement.
We just want to thank everybody, everybody for being aware and making phone calls and looking out, because again, we can't solve this by ourselves.
With the lots next to her clear and fewer homes catching fire, Morgan is hoping to spark something else in her neighborhood with her flower bed.
Once you take on a project, it's like everybody get that fever and everybody stop working, cleaning up their yard and their property and everything. So it makes the neighborhood look actually better.
Now, just because arson is down there doesn't mean that the fight is anywhere near over. In fact, Lieutenant Clark wants to remind people that $2,500 reward for tips still stands. Back to you.
All right, Brittany, thanks very much. Just weeks after being extradited back to Arkansas from Louisiana, authorities' only person of interest in the death of a Hot Springs Village woman released on bond. It's a KARK4 News update for you. Kevin Duck has been released from custody after being extradited from Louisiana, as mentioned. He was arrested there on a parole violation. It's important to note, Garland County deputies say Duck is a person of interest in the Donna Naskey disappearance case. He has not been charged in the case. Tonight, sworn to uphold the law, now facing justice from the other side. A former Austin police officer is charged with sexually assaulting a prisoner. William Tremaine was arrested this morning. According to Lonoke County Prosecutor Chuck Graham, Tremaine faces sexual assault and third-degree charges for having sexual contact with a prisoner who was in handcuffs. State police are investigating the case. Tremaine is currently being held without bond in the Lonoke County Jail until his first court appearance. Tonight, a Mills University high school teacher recovering after a student slipped lotion into a cup the teacher drank from, triggering an allergic reaction. According to the Pulaski County Special School District, the teacher was taken to a hospital and then released. The student briefly taken into custody with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. School officials say they will determine the appropriate course of action after they complete their investigation. Keep you updated on that.
Now we want want to turn to the latest results in tonight's hotly contested Republican presidential primaries. Mitt Romney wins in Arizona, taking 48% of the vote with about 70% of precincts reporting there. He's also pulling out, and this is key, a big win in Michigan tonight. And we're joined now by Republican strategist Bill Vickery. And let's just start with Michigan. This is a big win for him.
It is a big win because a loss in Michigan would have been humiliating for Romney. He put a lot of effort into it down the stretch especially. And depending upon how things shake out, it could be an even bigger win because Michigan, their delegates are by congressional district. So if you win a congressional district, you win those delegates. And so, but in the bigger picture, it's got to be like a sigh of relief for the Romney campaign because if they lost to Santorum in Michigan, it was going to be brutal on Super Tuesday.
Right, and it was going to go on forever, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, and too, when we're looking at these primaries now, we'll still go on, and it seems in this cycle especially, it seems who can outflank each other to the right continues to be a theme.
Yes.
Do you notice that as well? Do you think that's true?
I think that you've hit upon something that's a real key here, and you're beginning to see that have an impact on Romney with independents. Now, a lot of times these party primaries are just kind of intramural battles and everybody gets over it and you move on once the primaries are over. But the attacks on Romney and his having to tack sharply to the right, that's beginning to have a real impact with independent voters, and while it's not shifting them to the Democratic Party just yet into President Obama, it's putting them in a state of limbo, and Romney's going to have to work that much harder to win those independent voters in some key battleground states. So it's beginning to have an impact.
And whoever wins those independent voters will likely be the victor at the end of the day. Well, we've got May 22nd. It seems forever away for Arkansas. That's when we'll have our primary. Is it possible that this is all still in play then?
I think you'll still have, oddly enough, I think you'll still have some candidates in the race at that time. I think Santorum's campaign, they begin to live off the land. I mean, they become candidates who maybe know they can't win, but they continue fighting on for relevance, and that has a big impact on the race. If Gingrich is still in the race by the time Arkansas rolls around, then it could really be interesting. But I think the Romney campaign will have it well in hand by the time of the Arkansas primary. If not, then there's big trouble in the Republican primary.
Down the road. All right. Well, Bill Vickery, thanks for being with us. Bob, back to you.
Occupy Little Rock taking over the steps of City Hall in response to questions and questionable comments from the board of directors last week. It's one of the many stories making headlines this evening.
Not leaving one. We are the people.
The group is hoping to open a door dialogue of sorts, you could say, to clear the air with city leaders after they've inquired about a plan to remove the group's permanent encampment on Ferry and Capitol Streets. The group has received a permit to have the encampment there. There's no expiration date on it, so they're wondering why they might be getting pushed out.
The only thing that we ask is that we be allowed to continue the work that we feel is vitally important, educating people on the issues that we see as a problem right now.
While occupiers were outside City Hall, the board of directors never discussing the issue during its agenda session. City Manager Bruce Moore had told city directors the situation was something he had been monitoring and he would work on an appropriate response to directors' inquiries. Occupy Little Rock does plan to have representatives attend the regular city board of directors meeting next week to address the board publicly.
Lawmakers at the state capitol this afternoon breathing a sigh of relief as they learned the state will not have to pay back millions in unemployment to the feds. Back in September, a federal report showed Arkansas had overpaid unemployed people by about $160 million. Well, today, state auditors told lawmakers that number not quite accurate. In 2011, overpayments totaled instead about $44 million. Auditors say the state will recoup that money from the people who took benefits illegally. Overall, the audit said there was no inappropriate activity on the state's part.
Also today at the state capitol, lawmakers requesting an audit on Russellville's Child Development Incorporated. In this KRK4 News update, over 400 employees across the state went without pay beginning late January. The department says the organization will have to owe more, having missed payroll again last week. CDI has since been taken over by a federally appointed replacement.
The state Medicaid program now facing a $400 million shortfall. Republicans in the Joint Budget Committee today wanted to use $100 million of the state's surplus money to help cover that deficit, but Democrats killed the measure, saying it was too soon to commit that money.
Now from KARK4, your weather authority, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan.
Well, good Tuesday evening, everybody. A strong storm system continues to move through the northern and central plains. Finally, we're getting thunderstorms developing across the Oklahoma-Kansas state line, further off to the south through Oklahoma City, down to north of Dallas along the Red River. Those thunderstorms moving eastward at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Now, as far as watches are concerned, no watches or warnings in effect for Arkansas right now, but we do have a tornado watch out for parts of northeast Oklahoma into eastern Kansas, and a severe thunderstorm watch out for parts of west central Missouri. And we are looking at the possibility of that watch being extended by the Storm Prediction Center as we head toward the midnight or 1 o'clock hours. But we're going to talk about the severe weather potential around the area in just a couple of minutes. But as far as what's going on, at least locally, just a couple of showers extending from southeastern parts of Arkansas up toward I-40, about halfway between Little Rock and Memphis, and then just to the east of the Jonesboro area across portions of eastern Poinsett County. For right now, we're not seeing anything significant going on in Arkansas, but that may change as we head through a little bit later on this evening. Now, we do have a small risk of tornadoes primarily to the north of Interstate 40 as we head through the evening hours, and we'll get this graphic changed for you. And as it looks right now, we expect at least the three northern tier of counties to see at least a small risk of tornadoes as we head through between the midnight and 3 o'clock time frame as that line of thunderstorms move eastward. Now, as far as a severe weather threat for damaging winds and large hail, the northern half of Arkansas, and again, that same time period between about midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning as we head through a little bit later on tonight. I think by tomorrow morning, though, a lot of that thunderstorm activity will be weakening as it approaches the Little Rock area. But ahead of that front, temperatures well up into the 60s to around 70 degrees today. Temperatures right now are very pleasant, and we're going to continue to see very mild overnight temperatures with a strong flow out of the south. Plenty of clouds around, you can see, but what we're going to be waiting on is this cold front and area of low pressure to be moving out of the central plains. That'll begin happening around 1 o'clock in the morning in northwest Arkansas. That's when we see that thunderstorm risk increasing out there. And as we head through the 3 o'clock hour, north central Arkansas, by the pre-dawn hours, that line is expected to be weakening as it approaches I-30 and US 67. It may redevelop for parts of southeast Arkansas by the early part of tomorrow afternoon, but by late tomorrow afternoon, high pressure builds in everywhere. We're in for a nice late day and a pretty nice Thursday. Next storm system headed our way. It looks like a couple of showers by Thursday night and thunderstorms on Friday. Cooler temperatures as we start the weekend. But for tonight, we're expecting cloudy skies, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms here in Little Rock toward dawn, 63. Tomorrow, morning showers and thunderstorms giving way to partly cloudy skies, breezy and warm with a high temperature right around 80 degrees. Next 7 days shows mid-70s on Thursday and Friday. Thunderstorm chances back in the forecast for Friday. We start the weekend a little bit cool, warm it up by Sunday. And of course, the marathon on Sunday, 67 degrees, a high temperature with sunny skies. And of course, when you're not watching us here, you can hear our forecast on 94.9 Tom FM. Meteorologist Darby Bybee will be in overnight. Greg D will be in first thing in the morning. We'll keep an eye on things. It doesn't look like a huge deal, but we're here just in case.
All right. Something you got to keep your eye on.
We do, definitely.
All right. Keith, thanks very much.
Okay.
Still ahead, an update on the cause of a fire that shut down a main thoroughfare in Hot Springs.
Plus, SAU student uses reality TV fame to help the place that he learned his rodeo skills. These stories and more in 60 seconds.
This is KARK 4 News at 10 in high definition with Bob Clausen, Jessica Dean, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Sports with Carrie O'Hara.